Sheriff's Department is mourning the deaths of 4 deputies who died by apparent suicide this week. The incidents happened on Monday and Tuesday within a 48-hour period. Officials say 3 of them were active members of the department. 1 was retired. In a statement released yesterday afternoon, Sheriff Robert Luna said, quote, "We are stunned to learn of these deaths. It has sent shockwaves of emotion throughout the department." The identities of the deputies.
And tonight we're going to talk about the wave of suicides that happened in the Los Angeles Sheriff Department. Actually, according to the Los Angeles Sheriff Department, there have been 9 suicides this year. Ironically, 4 of those suicides happened on November the 6th to November the 7th. And while reports are saying that it was around 2 days, it was actually less than 24 hours. Let's look at the map. If you look here, the first side was on the 6th of November at 10:30 a.m. in the Valencia neighborhood, and that was Commander Darren Harris. The second was on the 6th as well at 12:53 p.m., and that was Sergeant Greg Hovland. The third was at 5:40 p.m. at Stevenson Ranch, and that was Karina Thompson. The fourth was actually in Pomona Hospital, and that was at 7:30 a.m. on the 7th of November.
Yeah, the LAPD and the LASD, they got like the most gang, the sheriff departments in there, you said got like 18 different gangs, right? They got the whole department is just corrupt. That's like the biggest gangs in the world. 18 different gangs in the police department. Just, you know, you wait to get old and retire to off yourself, and everybody in 24 hours. Oh, you didn't mention about all of them being from the same department. All of them worked in the same department.
The first clue, all 4 victims worked at the Pitches Detention Center. In 1995, the name of the facility changed to Pitches Detention Center, and it was named after Peter J. Pitches, who was the 28th Sheriff of Los Angeles County, California. He served from 1958 to 1981. Now, what's interesting about this story is there are a lot of gangs, like I think 18 gangs that they have attributed to the Los Angeles Sheriff Department, which is really sad because when you think of it like that, they're probably the largest gang in LA. Larger than the Crips, larger than the Bloods. These gangs in the LA Sheriff Department and the Los Angeles Police Department outnumber all of those other gangs. And so the first gang that has been reported on record were called the Wayside Whiteys.
For work. These are just a few of the gangs operating within the LA Sheriff's Department. The Wayside Whiteys. The Wayside Whiteys was a gang of white deputies at the Pitches Detention Center in northern LA County in the 1980s and 1990s. Their sign was having their middle fingers crossed to create a W for white. The Linwood Vikings. The Vikings were a gang based out of the Linwood Station. Their tattoo was of a Viking, and their hand sign was an L made with the thumb and index finger for Linwood. And they were one of the most powerful and most violent gangs. A lot of their members became leaders in the department.
So that's the first clue. It's very ironic that all of them worked at the same place. This is an excerpt. I then began an investigation during which Mr. Lynn discovered the names and location of several eyewitnesses to the incident. In questioning them and others to whom my investigator was directed by them, it turns out that Mr. Crawford's beating was hardly unique. According to the witnesses, there is a recognized group of deputies who describe themselves as the Wayside Whiteys, who flash signs back and forth with their fingers arranged in such a way as to create a W, and who have made it their job to bring to heel Black prisoners within the jail system, especially Black prisoners who engage in any kind of physical altercation with a white prisoner. So this Clydell Crawford sued the Los Angeles Sheriff Department back in 1990, claiming brutality in the Wayside Ranch or Pitches Detention Center against Blacks. There's also allegations in this letter of KKK activity. So it kind of attaches this Wayside Whiteys to the KKK. Another connection. One of the people who committed suicide was Karina Thompson. She was a county custody assistant, and she worked at the North County Correctional Facility at Pitches Detention Center. And she died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest, as well as Sergeant Greg Hovland, who also died from a gunshot wound to the chest, which is a very odd way to commit suicide. Now, so let's look at Karina Thompson. Karina Thompson, again, was a custody assistant that worked at the North County Correctional Facility. But when I looked a little further, there was a big scandal with the former Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca.
He was above the law. 3 years, 1 month for Lieutenant Greg Thompson, who took a leadership role in the criminal conspiracy. 2 years, 9 months for Sergeant Scott Craig, who tampered with witnesses and threatened an FBI agent with arrest. 2 years, 6 months for Sergeant Maricela Long. 2 years for Deputy Mickey Manzo, and 1 year, 9 months for Deputy Gerard Smith. The inmate they're accused of hiding, Anthony Brown. He spoke exclusively to Eyewitness News about his role as an FBI informant.
I'm supposed to be a criminal. These are people that were sworn to uphold the law.
The unprecedented case shed light on a sheriff's department in turmoil, a corrupt culture, as the judge put it today. Former Sheriff Lee Baca abruptly resigned in January. Former Undersheriff Paul Tanaka still a subject of the ongoing federal investigation. Defense attorneys even today casting blame for their clients' crimes on the department's top leaders.
Defense attorneys argued in their sentencing papers that the true puppet masters here were Sheriff Baca and Undersheriff Tanaka, and that these were simply quote-unquote battlefield soldiers.
With the former Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca, and he was convicted of overseeing a scheme designed to obstruct a federal investigation into corruption and civil rights abuses at county jail facilities. And he was sentenced to 36 months or so in prison. Okay, and he was this was in 2017, and he was about 74 years old. Now, the thing that is really, really interesting about this, well, before I tell you that, let's go to Paul Tanaka. And he was actually the former number 2 in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And he was also sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for obstructing federal investigations into misconduct at county jails. And it is alleged that Paul Tanaka was actually a part of the Vikings gang, which is another deputy gang in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. So the Vikings, I believe, and this is just my belief, basically are an extension of the Wayside Whiteys. And so they all worked in this gang system. And so Paul Tanaka and Baca both did time because they were obstructing some investigations that were going on, because of these gang activities that have been obviously going on for such a long time in Los Angeles. It's hard to it's hard to fathom how a system that's supposed to protect the people is so corrupt. Really, really sad. But I bring Baca up and I bring Tanaka up because there was one person that was very interesting to me, and he is Gregory Thompson. And you know why that person is interesting to me? Because Karina Thompson was the one who just committed suicide. So is Gregory Thompson and Karina Thompson related in any type of way? Because guess what? Gregory Thompson is one of the people who unfortunately helped to incriminate Baca and Tanaka. So, according to a 1988 report, Paul Tanaka joined the Vikings and was named in a wrongful death suit that the LASD, the Los Angeles Sheriff Department, settled for almost $1 million. The case involved Tanaka's shooting of a young Korean man. In the following year, Baca sent Captain Bert Cueva, an officer of Latin American ancestry, to stamp out this Viking phenomenon. Cueva was unsuccessful, however, and left his post in 1992. So there you have it. You have Paul Tanaka, who is associated with the Vikings, who are, in my opinion, a branch of these wayside whiteys. And so this is all being run in this Pitches Detention Center. And so you can't tell me, I do not believe for one moment that these 4 alleged suicides were suicides. These look like these were hits for something that these people knew or something that they did. And in the case of Karina Thompson, if there is a direct connection, then Gregory Thompson was one of the men, even though he did time, responsible for getting Baca and Tanaka locked up. And so now, again, the FBI has opened an investigation into them as again. And this just started in like July of 2023 this year. And ironically, that's also when the Tupac Shakur indictment came down on KPD, July 2023 of this year. So I totally understand why T believes that these suicides very well may have something to do with the Tupac Shakur case. Remember Russell Poole? Russell Poole was the detective that solved the Tupac Shakur case. If you've looked at my channel, especially my TikTok channel, I have been following and trying to figure this out since July of 2023 when KPD was indicted. I went back, went through records, and just kind of found Russell Poole, Michael Douglas Carlin, Randall Sullivan, Davy D, a lot of these old people who were in the industry, and all of these videos that they had about this case. This case, Tupac's case, was solved years ago, but Russell Poole died in a Los Angeles Sheriff Department. They say he had a heart attack. However, there are other allegations that he did not have a heart attack, that he was murdered. And there are some people who have actually come out and say that Russell Poole was murdered by Reggie Wright and some of the goons there from the LA Sheriff Department. Now that's hearsay. I don't know if that's true or not. I believe that it could possibly be true because, again, it points directly to these gangs in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles Police Department. And it really has to stop because these people have, in my opinion, killed way more people than these cops have killed way more people than these quote gangs that the government keeps saying exist. I mean, they're not bigger than these sheriffs or the LA Police Department. And so there are direct connections to gang activity going on here, not suicides, but homicides.
Hovland, he was 67 years old, and he was like a lieutenant and big also in the deputy department. He was the same age, you all. Hold on. He was the same age as Reggie White Sr. Okay, hold on though. Not only was he the same age as Reggie White Sr., in 2020, they shut down the gang unit. They had a gang unit in LAPD, which Reggie White Sr. ran. He ran the gang unit. And what we left out is Pitches Detention Center was the playground for all the gang units. It was started back with the Wayside Whiteys years ago, but it's been doing some of the testimony in 2017 and some of the other testimony they had against the other corruptions of the other police there. It was stated how they would have to do things like kill somebody or kill inmates, falsify evidence, all types of crimes they would have to commit to even become a part of their gangs right there inside, right there inside the department. Now, they closed it down in 2020 because the crime rate tripled. when the game unit's supposed to have been for to go through the games, but it tripled. It tripled because I think a lot of those 18 games they have in LAPD, that they worked all out of pitches. They all, think about it. The people that died, even before people that died, they worked at pitches. One was retired. One worked in one department. She was like the intake officer that took the property and stuff. And the other one worked outside the jail, with the actual inmates that was part of these gangs as well. And you got all these people that worked right there still with these gangs. And like you said, I think it's amazing that it was a Thomas, and Miss Thomas also was the same age as Mr. Thomas that testified, maybe a year or two different, give or take. My main connection is the 67-year-old retired guy. You're retired. You just don't off yourself. You're retired. I'm really beginning to think. And then, this is another thing. That's the only thing that the FBI been doing investigations. They didn't close down the gang unit. They did all the other. They didn't start the investigation. But the only thing that we could find that started this year to make 4 people just all of a sudden disappear was the Tupac case. Everything else was in 2017, 2020. This is the only thing that's recent enough, that we can tie in or pick so big. And I just wouldn't be afraid to say that. I bet you Reggie White them know. I bet you they know, because they was definitely connected with the gangs. They was running the gang unit. That's why it tripled anyway. The reason they had to close it down. So I just think it was ironic. The Tupac case come up, and all of a sudden 4 officers did. I don't care. I'm playing devil's advocate. He was part of the gang unit. The gang, they was from Pitchers Detention Center, where the gang units has been known to have been running there for ever since 1935.
1938.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the rest of it.
Maybe these were some, maybe he knew or what happened to Russell Poole. Let's not forget about him. He kind of gets lost.
Everybody that had anything to do with that case is dead. Now all of a sudden that case come up.
This whole thing with LA, it's just, I had no idea until I even started looking into the Tupac, what happened to him. That I had no idea LA was that corrupt.
Right.
I didn't know. It's terrible.
Right. And like I say, you imagine cities and places being corrupt, but you don't imagine that. First of all, we didn't mention they have the biggest sheriff department in the world. So you can't imagine them having the most gangs in their department in the world. This is like, we're talking about the police, serve and protect.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's sad. I don't know.
It's scary too. Because when you're dealing with people who have power, who have ways to really terrorize a community.
Exactly.
The Crips, the Bloods, they can't terrorize the community like those police can.
And LAPD or LASD is just like their hands a little bit in everything. Like even down to, like you said, with the Tupac, half of them work for the Death Row, and they got the radio thing issue going on, and nobody's supposed to have it. The security and the police. Oh, and your boy Snoop Dogg, or my boy Snoop Dogg, just popped up with the good old walkie-talkie that didn't nobody know about. It's just so much, and all of it to me still. That's what I meant to do. We need to find out where they locked up at too. See where they locked up at. Was they ever in Pitches or any of these playgrounds that the gangs had?
Right. LA, boy, it's like sometimes you wonder if it's all just a movie. That's a different place. That is a different place. They can,
Well, girl. So I guess we're gonna leave that alone.
Right.
We're gonna let the FBI be the FBI, but we're gonna come back and tell you later whatever the angle is. If we got it right, we got it wrong. We gonna, we just trying to figure out what's going on.
So,
well, girl, speaking of dirty cops, not really cops, well, officers of the court. You've been looking at the Thug trial.
Yeah, I've been looking at it periodically. To be quite frank, it's like they just waste so much of the taxpayers' money because there's so much fluff and so much stuff going on these cases where they're taking way too long. They're dragging it out. It's everybody's trying to get a little bit of fame, and it's sickening.
It is. You either got a case or you don't. Either they did these things, either you can prove it or either you can't.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know.
And the prosecution for in Atlanta, this team that wants to go against this YSL it's just ridiculous. It's like a big
circus.
It's just too much. You have all these lawyers and all of these guys in this RICO charge, with no RICOs. I mean, it's just like.
He was saying that it was double jeopardy. Like, when you take away those 4 or 5 charges, and he was like, and it applies for like mostly all of the defendants. When you take away those charges that don't supposed to be there, there's no RICO, and you left down like 2 counts and 2 charges. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So.
Not to mention the supposed gang experts. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, he was pathetic.
Oh my goodness.
The lawyer asked him about the gang signs or whatever. He was like, "Oh, I don't have any idea."
Right, he has no idea, but he's the gang expert. He swore, and then he didn't want to be seen on TV. They said he didn't want to be seen. I'm thinking he's getting ready to come up and give this testimony. He comes up and he has nothing to offer. Basically says they were teasing him.
Basically.
and doing hard gang signs with their hands. How the heck is that a RICO charge? I don't get it.
Right.
How is that a RICO charge?
It's not. That
Even
was the point the lawyer was saying.
But he didn't know what gang though. They were doing gang signs, but he didn't know which gang it was. But he's the gang expert. So.
What do you think about thug meaning? What do you say it means? True, humble under God. Truly humble under God. Thug. The lawyer's open statement. He said that thug means truly humble under God.
I don't buy too much of that crap. They do what they do. They're the ones that's rapping. I get tired of all that rapping about what you rap about and talking about you humble under God. You're not humble under God. So I don't know about that. But I know one thing: the prosecutors don't have their case is so weak. And I'm trying to figure out why did they even go that route? Because the case is just so weak. So
and another thing they pointed out too, how all the charges is like so beefed up, and then got everybody like this charge has already been. This man is already doing time for this murder. What do he got to do with that? He wasn't even here then. He was in a whole nother. None of these charges got to do with him. He wasn't even there. He wasn't at the house. He didn't live there. Where is the RICO? And he really I like his lawyer. Well, I like how the effort he's putting into it, and just I like the fact though that he's making the government answer some of that though, because they got to learn to do stuff right, because it's not fair to the people that's dead, lost their lives, like Melly. You watch all the cases and then people never get any justice.
Right. Because they're going to mess up. I mean, they done messed up so much that, to my honest opinion is that they had him from the beginning. But they messed up. They tripped over themselves so much that they're going to probably fumble it.
Yeah.
But, so I mean that's on them. You're trying so hard to do something that you think you're going to get away with doing it dirty, and you're not. It's going to always come back.
And that's how you know that's how it comes out in these trials with these rappers and the guys that got money and that can really pay for their some type of adequate attorneys and things. They get lawyers, and the lawyers attack they other bullshit tactics that they so used to using. This is what they've been doing the whole time. They so used to getting away with it. They so used to the judge taking their side, and them usually just getting away with whatever they do until they think, oh, we're gonna get away with it. Not thinking, okay, we might need to do this the right way. These people need justice for their loved ones. But nope.
No, yeah, end up botching it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why they were so gun-ho on getting YSL. I mean, before you even really, we even talked about it, and I didn't even know who it was when you told me about it. I'd never heard of YSL, and so I know there are a lot of other people like me as well that have never heard of them. So it's like, what is a RICO charge? I mean, what is the real motivation of trying to get these guys like that? Because
that's why I say it's for a name. It can't. It just points to them having names, because even though we don't know them in their town that they live in, they're big, and the prosecutor and everybody, they get to move up, or they get these big names. Now the lawyer that does his case, he get to charge $100,000 now for getting you out of jail for drunk driving.
Right. I get it. Right.
It's a domino effect, girl. Everybody got their own personal interests, and the judge, he gonna run for mayor next year. if you get a conviction.
Right.
Don't get me started, girl.
It's like a circus show. It's just like a circus in there. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, and they're wasting the taxpayers' money. That's the thing. They are wasting so much time and so much money on just these 2 cases. Now, God only knows what's going to happen with the Tupac case. But with the YSL and the YNW thing, it's just a waste of money, a waste of time.
It is.
It's ridiculous. If there's one detective that I thought had a pretty good chance of making a decent statement, and that was, I think, Detective Dennis, I think it was, but I don't know. I haven't again since he's been pulled up. But these last 2, quote, gang experts, end quote,
he's trying to get rid of them anyway. He didn't already put motions in to try to get rid of them because he's like, what are they experts to? They don't know anything. The sports bets. I had a couple bets for the people if they wanted to put a few bets in. And I know everybody knows sports bets. Probably got some people that listen to us don't even have a clue what sports bet is. But those who do listen to us know that I like the sports bet. I can get a little extra change in there and there. Do pretty well in it. Sunday football. Arizona Cardinals. We'll be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 6-point underdog. Take them for +6 to cover the spread. And you also could take another game underdog, the Patriots. Yeah, they've been bad this year, but they're at home tomorrow and they play the Chargers, which has been equally as bad. And the Chargers they don't play well in the cold. So, matter of fact, you know, they from that city we was just talking about. So, when they go to Patriots, most likely that'll be a good time for the Patriots to bounce back. And they also have like 5.5 points. So take the Patriots 5.5, the Arizona Cardinals 5.5. If you put them together, you can play them in what you call a 2-team parlay, and you could triple your money, whatever you decide to bet. So that's just a little pearls for your pocket. And I'm gonna sign off with that one. Yeah, like, share. And everybody enjoy their weekend.
Yes. Happy holidays, and we'll be back.
Good night.